The first century, a time of great change, innovation, and pivotal moments that would shape the course of human history for millennia to come. From the rise and fall of empires to groundbreaking scientific discoveries, from religious revolutions to technological advancements, this era laid the foundation for much of our modern world. Today, we embark on a journey through time, exploring 10 of the most significant events that defined the first century CE. Our story begins in the year 4 BCE, with an event that would forever change the course of Western civilization and beyond. In a small town called Bethlehem, in the Roman province of Judea, a child was born who would become one of the most influential figures in human history. This child was Jesus of Nazareth, whose life and teachings would give rise to Christianity, one of the world's largest religions. The exact date of Jesus' birth is a subject of scholarly debate, but it is generally placed between 6 and 4 BCE. This discrepancy arises from errors in the calendar system used at the time, which was later corrected. Regardless of the precise date, the birth of Jesus marks the beginning of the Christian era and serves as the starting point for our journey through the first century. The circumstances surrounding Jesus' birth, as described in Christian tradition, were humble yet extraordinary. According to the Gospels, his mother Mary was visited by an angel who told her she would conceive a child through the Holy Spirit. Jesus was born in a stable, as there was no room at the local inn, and was visited by shepherds and wise men who had followed a star to find him. While the historical details of Jesus' birth and early life are limited, the impact of his later ministry and teachings cannot be overstated. His message of love, forgiveness and salvation would spread rapidly throughout the Roman Empire and beyond, eventually becoming a major world religion with billions of followers. The birth of Jesus set in motion a chain of events that would reshape the religious and cultural landscape of the ancient world. It marked the beginning of a new spiritual movement that would challenge existing power structures and offer a new way of understanding the relationship between humanity and the divine. Moving forward in time, our second pivotal moment takes us to the year 14 CE. This year marked a significant transition in the Roman Empire as it saw the death of Augustus, the first Roman emperor, and the ascension of Tiberius to the imperial throne. Augustus, born Gaius Octavius, had ruled Rome for 41 years, transforming it from a republic into an empire. His reign, known as the Pax Romana, or Roman peace, brought stability and prosperity to the Mediterranean world. Augustus implemented sweeping reforms in administration, taxation, and military organization, laying the foundation for an empire that would endure for centuries. The death of Augustus on August 19, 14 CE, at the age of 75, marked the end of an era. He had been so successful in centralizing power and establishing the imperial system that many Romans wondered if the empire could survive without him. The smooth transition of power to Tiberius, Augustus's adopted son and chosen heir, demonstrated the stability of the system Augustus had created. Tiberius, already 55 years old when he became emperor, was an experienced military commander and administrator. However, he faced the daunting task of following in the footsteps of the beloved Augustus. Tiberius's reign would be marked by a different style of rule, often characterized by his reluctance to wield power and his increasing withdrawal from public life. The transition from Augustus to Tiberius was a crucial test for the new imperial system. It proved that the Roman Empire could survive the death of its founder and set the precedent for imperial succession that would be followed, with variations for centuries to come. This moment solidified the transformation of Rome from a republic to an empire, a change that would have far-reaching consequences for the ancient world and beyond. Our third pivotal moment takes us to the year 26 CE, when Pontius Pilate was appointed as the prefect of Judea. This appointment would have significant ramifications, particularly in relation to the growing Christian movement. Pontius Pilate served as the Roman prefect of Judea from 26 to 36 CE. As prefect, he was responsible for maintaining order, collecting taxes, and overseeing the administration of justice in this volatile region of the Roman Empire. Judea was known for its religious and political tensions, with various Jewish factions often in conflict with each other and with Roman rule. Pilate's tenure was marked by several controversies and conflicts with the local Jewish population. He was known for his insensitivity to Jewish customs and his harsh methods of maintaining order. However, Pilate is best known for his role in the trial and crucifixion of Jesus Christ, as described in the Christian Gospels. According to these accounts, Pilate presided over the trial of Jesus, who had been arrested and accused of claiming to be the King of the Jews, a charge that was seen as sedition against Roman rule. The Gospels portray Pilate as reluctant to condemn Jesus, finding no fault in him, but ultimately yielding to pressure from the Jewish religious authorities and the crowd. The decision to crucify Jesus would have profound consequences. For Christians, it marked the culmination of Jesus' earthly ministry and the beginning of their faith. For the Roman Empire, it inadvertently set in motion the growth of a religious movement that would eventually challenge and transform the empire itself. Pilate's role in these events made him a significant figure in Christian tradition and a symbol of the complex relationship between Roman authority and emerging religious movements. His appointment and actions as prefect of Judea represent a critical intersection of political power and religious change in the first century. Our fourth pivotal moment brings us to the year 33 CE, traditionally recognized as the year of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. This event, central to Christian faith, would have profound implications for the religious and cultural landscape of the Roman Empire and beyond. The exact date of the crucifixion is a matter of scholarly debate, with estimates ranging from 30 to 33 CE. However, the year 33 is often cited in traditional Christian chronology. According to the Gospel accounts, Jesus was arrested in Jerusalem during the Passover festival, tried by the Sanhedrin and then by Pontius Pilate, and sentenced to death by crucifixion, a common Roman method of execution for non-citizens. The crucifixion of Jesus was more than just the execution of a religious leader. For his followers, it represented the fulfillment of prophecies and the central act of redemption in God's plan for humanity. The Gospels report that Jesus rose from the dead 3 days after his crucifixion, an event known as the resurrection, which became the cornerstone of Christian faith. The death and reported resurrection of Jesus galvanized his followers. What had been a small local movement centered around a charismatic teacher now began to spread rapidly, first among Jewish communities and then to Gentiles throughout the Roman Empire. The disciples of Jesus, convinced of his divine nature and messianic role, began to preach his message with renewed vigor. The crucifixion also marked a turning point in the relationship between the early Christian movement and the Jewish religious establishment. While the first Christians were Jews who saw Jesus as the fulfillment of Jewish messianic prophecies, the rejection of Jesus by many Jewish leaders led to an increasing separation between Christianity and Judaism. The events surrounding the crucifixion of Jesus set in motion the rapid spread of Christianity. Within a few decades, Christian communities would be established in major cities across the Roman Empire, laying the groundwork for a religious revolution that would eventually transform the Western world. Our fifth pivotal moment takes us to the year 43 CE, when the Roman Empire, under Emperor Claudius, launched a successful invasion of Britain. This event marked the beginning of Roman Britain, a period that would last nearly 4 centuries and have a lasting impact on British history and culture. The invasion of Britain was not Rome's first encounter with the island. Julius Caesar had led 2 expeditions to Britain in 55 and 54 BCE, but these were more exploratory in nature and did not result in permanent Roman settlement. The invasion under Claudius, however, was a full-scale military operation aimed at bringing Britain into the Roman Empire. The invasion force, led by Aulus Plautius, consisted of 4 legions and auxiliary troops, totaling about 40,000 men. They landed on the coast of Kent and quickly established a foothold. The native British tribes, despite fierce resistance, were gradually subdued. Claudius himself visited Britain briefly to oversee the capture of Camulodunum, modern-day Colchester, which became the first Roman colony in Britain. The Roman conquest of Britain was not immediate or complete. It took several decades for the Romans to subdue most of what is now England and Wales, and they never fully conquered Scotland. However, The invasion in 43 CE marked the beginning of a profound transformation of British society. Roman rule brought significant changes to Britain. The Romans introduced new forms of architecture, including stone buildings and road networks, many of which still exist today. They established towns and cities, introduced new agricultural techniques, and integrated Britain into the wider Roman economic system. Latin became the language of administration and education, influencing the development of the English language. The Romans also brought their religious and cultural practices to Britain. While native British religions continued to be practiced, Roman gods and customs were introduced, and later, Christianity would arrive via Roman channels. The invasion of Britain in 43 CE was a pivotal moment not just in British history, but in the history of the Roman Empire. It represented one of Rome's last major territorial expansions and brought a previously peripheral region firmly into the orbit of Mediterranean civilization. The legacy of Roman Britain would continue to influence British culture and society long after the Romans departed in the early 5th century. Our sixth pivotal moment brings us to the year 64 CE, when a catastrophic fire devastated the city of Rome. This event had far-reaching consequences, not only for the physical landscape of the city, but also for the political and social dynamics of the Roman Empire. The fire began on the night of July 18th in shops around the Circus Maximus. Fanned by summer winds, it quickly spread through the densely packed wooden buildings of the city. The conflagration raged for 6 days, destroying 3 of Rome's 14 districts and severely damaging 7 others. Only 4 districts escaped unscathed. The scale of destruction was immense. Thousands were left homeless, and many of Rome's most important buildings and temples were reduced to ashes. The Forum, the commercial and political heart of the city, was badly damaged. Nero's own palace, the Domus Transitoria, was also destroyed. In the aftermath of the fire, Emperor Nero launched an ambitious rebuilding program. He implemented new building regulations, requiring the use of fire-resistant materials and the creation of wider streets and open spaces to prevent future fires from spreading so rapidly. Nero also took the opportunity to build his infamous Domus Aurea, or Golden House, a vast palatial complex that further strained his relationship with the Roman elite. However, the most significant and controversial aspect of the Great Fire was its impact on the Christian community in Rome. Rumors began to circulate that Nero himself had ordered the fire to clear land for his new palace. To deflect these accusations, Nero blamed the Christians, a relatively new and misunderstood religious group in Rome. This led to the first official persecution of Christians by the Roman state. Tacitus, a Roman historian, describes horrific punishments inflicted on Christians, including being torn apart by dogs, crucified, and burned alive as human torches. This persecution set a precedent for the treatment of Christians in the Roman Empire for the next 2.5 centuries. The Great Fire of Rome and its aftermath had lasting consequences. It reshaped the physical layout of the city, influenced Roman architecture and urban planning, and marked a turning point in the relationship between the Roman state and the growing Christian community. The event also contributed to the negative portrayal of Nero in historical accounts, cementing his reputation as one of Rome's most infamous emperors. Our seventh pivotal moment takes us to the year 70 CE, when Roman forces, led by future Emperor Titus, captured and destroyed the Second Temple in Jerusalem. This event marked the crushing of the Great Jewish Revolt and had profound and lasting impacts on Judaism and the Jewish people. The Great Jewish Revolt against Roman rule began in 66 CE, fueled by religious tensions, high taxes, and anti-Roman sentiment. After initial Jewish successes, the Romans responded with overwhelming force. Vespasian, the future emperor, was sent to quell the rebellion, and his son Titus took command when Vespasian returned to Rome to claim the imperial throne. The siege of Jerusalem began in early 70 CE. The city, swollen with refugees and pilgrims celebrating Passover, faced severe food shortages and internal strife. Despite this, the defenders held out for several months against the Roman legions. On August 10th, 70 CE, the 9th of Aviv in the Jewish calendar, the Romans finally breached the walls of the temple. According to the Jewish historian Josephus, Titus had intended to spare the temple, but in the chaos of battle, a Roman soldier threw a torch into the building, setting it ablaze. The temple, the holiest site in Judaism and the center of Jewish religious life, was destroyed. The destruction of the Second Temple was a catastrophic event for the Jewish people. It marked the end of the biblical era of Judaism and necessitated a fundamental reshaping of Jewish religious practice. With the temple gone, sacrificial worship, which had been central to Jewish religious life, came to an end. In its place, Rabbinic Judaism emerged, centered on the study of Torah and the observance of Jewish law in everyday life. The fall of Jerusalem also led to a large-scale dispersion of the Jewish population. While Jewish communities had existed outside Judea for centuries, the events of 70 CE greatly accelerated the process of diaspora. Jewish communities spread throughout the Roman Empire and beyond, adapting to new environments while maintaining their distinct identity and traditions. For the Romans, the victory over the Jews was a significant achievement. Titus was honored with a triumph in Rome, and the Arch of Titus, which still stands in the biblical era of Judaism and necessitated a fundamental reshaping of Jewish religious practice. With the temple gone, sacrificial worship, which had been central to Jewish religious life, came to an end. In its place, Rabbinic Judaism emerged, centered on the study of Torah and the observance of Jewish law in everyday life. The fall of Jerusalem also led to a large-scale dispersion of the Jewish population. While Jewish communities had existed outside Judea for centuries, the events of 70 CE greatly accelerated the process of diaspora. Jewish communities spread throughout the Roman Empire and beyond, adapting to new environments while maintaining their distinct identity and traditions. For the Romans, the victory over the Jews was a significant achievement. Titus was honored with a triumph in Rome, and the Arch of Titus, which still stands in the Roman Forum today, was erected to commemorate his victory. The spoils from the temple, including the sacred menorah, were prominently displayed in Rome as symbols of Roman power. The destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE was a turning point in Jewish history and in the history of the ancient Near East. It marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new phase in the development of Judaism and Jewish identity. The memory of this event continues to play a significant role in Jewish consciousness and religious observance to this day. Our eighth pivotal moment brings us to the year 79 CE, when Mount Vesuvius erupted, burying the Roman cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum. This natural disaster, one of the most famous in history, provides us with an unparalleled snapshot of Roman life in the 1st century. On August 24th, 79 CE, Mount Vesuvius, a volcano near the Bay of Naples that had been dormant for centuries, suddenly erupted with devastating force. The eruption sent a towering cloud of ash and pumice into the sky, which then rained down on the surrounding area for several hours. This was followed by pyroclastic flows, fast-moving currents of hot gas and volcanic matter that swept down the mountain slopes, engulfing everything in their path. The cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum, along with several smaller settlements, were completely buried under meters of ash and volcanic debris. Pompeii, closer to the volcano, was covered in up to 4 meters of ash and pumice, while Herculaneum was engulfed by a deeper layer of mud and volcanic material. The eruption caught the inhabitants of these cities by surprise. While some managed to flee, thousands were trapped and perished. The speed and totality of the destruction meant that the cities were preserved almost exactly as they were at the moment of the eruption, creating a unique archaeological time capsule. The ruins of Pompeii and Herculaneum remained buried and largely forgotten for nearly 1,700 years. Their rediscovery in the 18th century sparked a renewed interest in the ancient world and had a profound impact on European art, literature, and culture. The excavation of these sites has provided an unprecedented insight into daily life in a Roman city. Unlike many ancient ruins, which show only the monumental public buildings, Pompeii and Herculaneum preserved everything from grand villas to modest apartments, from busy shops and taverns to quiet gardens. The sites have yielded a wealth of artifacts, from everyday household items to exquisite works of art. Perhaps most poignantly, the eruption left behind haunting evidence of its human toll. The ash that covered Pompeii formed casts around the bodies of victims, preserving their final postures. These casts provide a visceral connection to the ancient inhabitants and a stark reminder of the catastrophe that befell them. The eruption of Vesuvius in 79 CE was more than just a natural disaster. It created an invaluable resource for understanding Roman society, architecture, art, and daily life. The rediscovery and excavation of Pompeii and Herculaneum have significantly shaped our understanding of the ancient Roman world and continue to yield new insights to this day. Our ninth pivotal moment takes us to the year 96 CE, marking the assassination of Emperor Domitian and the beginning